What happened at a wedding that made it obvious that the bride and groom shouldn't be getting married? One of my brothers had a storm of a wedding, announced they were pregnant right before the ceremony, stealing their own thunder, had it outdoors at this strange country club place that did not seem to understand how to do a wedding. It was windy, they had the ceremony outside, chairs and other things blew away. They invited around 100 people. They had around half the people not bother to show up. The desserts, besides the wedding cake, never showed up. He asked me to give a speech after telling me my daughter wasn't allowed at the wedding because it was no children, which I might have understood had they not allowed the maid of honor and the bride's sister to each bring their children as exceptions. One of them was a few months older than my daughter. My other brother gave an epic speech. He just said, "I'm a cop, and if your relationship was a car on the highway, I'd give you a speeding ticket and say slow down because you're going too fast." People who lost their jobs by going off on a customer. Story? I worked at a home improvement store called Menards. I was a cart pusher. Anyway, we gather about 25 to 30 shopping carts together and push them up to the entrance where they are stored inside. So as I push the carts up, I stop because I see a guy in a pretty nice SUV. I'm waiting to see if he drives off, and he then looks at me and waves me across. So I wave back and start pushing the carts across. I'm on the other side when someone clips me across the shoulder blades and it stung somewhat and pushed me forward. I turn around and the guy in the SUV clipped me with his side view mirror. It shattered the window on the door. The guy gets out of his car swearing up a storm at me and how I'm going to pay for a new window. Now I'm the type of person that if I was the reason, I'll take the blame and fix the problem. But this guy hit me. I blew up on him for about 5 minutes before manager finally had the guts to come over. I didn't have to pay for a new window as it was on video, but I lost my job. Wedding planners. What is the weirdest couple you've ever met? I'm not a wedding planner, but I manage events at the facilities I currently work at, and we had a wedding where the groom wore a 3-piece tux, all white, with banana yellow Converse and a banana yellow bow tie. His groomsmen wore all black with banana yellow Converse and ties. Throughout the wedding service, the groomsmen would hold up emoji signs reacting to things that were happening, each holding up puke emojis when they kissed. When it came time to get the rings, the best man acted like he had lost it, when suddenly a man in the audience stood up and threw a frisbee with the ring taped to it to the groom. They were all avid frisbee golfers. The frisbee was also their guest book signed by everyone who came. The thing that saddened me is it seems the bride really did not want to be marrying the groom. One of her bridesmaids came to me before the wedding asking for any snacks for the bride because she felt like she was going to throw up from crying so much. What secret could ruin your life? Well, it's more of a secret to my friends that I've made recently. When I was in 8th grade, a bunch of girls in my class convinced me they had a friend who fancied me. Faked an MSN account and they talked to me every night for a few months, invited me out to the movies and obviously didn't show up, then revealed to the whole grade that I had been tricked into having an imaginary girlfriend. I was mocked viciously by everyone in the grade, and ever since then, I can't really trust women. I also can't believe that a girl may have feelings for me. It's caused a lot of insecurity, and I can't get attached to people easily. Even though it was grade 8, it was around the time when attraction to women was just starting to get real, so to be hurt at a time as delicate as that has really done some damage. The secret, of course, is that I had been dumb enough to be tricked. As you might suspect, the whole thing has left me afraid of being vulnerable. You're the first people I've told about what this event has actually done to me. People who went missing. What happened? When I was 4, I got lost in a city and was rescued by what my dad thought was a gang. We had dinner in Chinatown with another family. Crossing the street after dinner, we were holding hands in a big chain. My older sibling let go. When the light changed and everyone crossed, I stayed on the sidewalk. I was looking through a window into a barber shop. When I finally looked around, everyone was gone. I started to cry. A group of teenagers approached and asked if I was lost. I said yes. A tall kid hoisted me into his shoulders and started down the block. Other kids split up and went in different directions. We rounded a corner and I saw my dad. He turned white and ran toward us. The kid lowered me to the ground. Other kids stood around awkwardly while the tall kid explained what happened to my dad. My dad flung himself at the kid and hugged him. Years later, my dad told me he saw the same group of kids hanging around and was suspicious that they were a gang. He was embarrassed and tried to be less judgmental after that. Wish I could thank those guys. Who is wrongly portrayed as a hero? The map from Dora. Say what you want, but that little MF is working with Swiper. How does he always know where Dora is or where she's going? Greg Heffley from Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I wholeheartedly agree. He's such a crappy friend to Rolly. People who post an R made me smile about their own good deeds. which are actually just basic acts of human decency. Someone recently found this blank check. I really needed the money, but I found the owner and gave it back. Great, congrats, dude. You didn't steal, which is something people are capable of avoiding every day. Carrie Bradshaw is a horrible friend, a manipulative and flaky partner, and a deeply irresponsible person all around. My problem with Carrie was that she always turned it around to be about her. Jack from Jack and the Beanstalk. He breaks into the giant's house, steals his treasure, then kills him when the giant tries to get his gold back. What made the popular girl lose their popularity? When I was in 6th grade, one of my classmates brought $90 to school. They were going to go shopping after school. She was the most popular girl in class. At some point during the course of the day, the money went missing. Our teacher went right to the superintendent's office right across the hall from our class. Within minutes, they had pulled us all out of class and separated out the boys and the girls. The 5th grade teacher took all the girls into the bathroom, 3 at a time, and strip searched them, and the superintendent handled all of us boys in the boys' bathroom. They didn't find anything. The cops showed up a few hours later and interviewed all of us one by one and still found nothing. A few weeks later, it got out that she forgot to bring the money to school, and it was home in her bedroom the whole time. The backlash was bad enough that her parents pulled her out of school and sent her to the next town over. Mountain of lawsuits came down on the superintendent for strip searching kids because it is considered as sexual assault. Once you were old enough, what were the dark family secrets you were finally let in on? My dad's uncle died in a boating accident with his cousins. My family let me know he was possibly drowned in the middle of the lake by his cousins because of some money issues. No one was ever prosecuted though, and the family is still very close. Weird. Grandma didn't decide to move in with us because she loved us so much and wanted to spend more time with us. Grandma moved in because her son was a meth addict and convinced her to put his name on the house. Take all the money out of it for renovations and leave her homeless. She had a heart attack the night she found out and now has to live with a pacemaker. F you, Uncle Roy. My father got my mother pregnant when he was a teacher in high school. He was 30 and married. She was 15 and his student. They ran off together, he got a divorce, and they got married in a state that allowed marriage at 16. 2 months before my older brother was born. What weird thing would you make socially acceptable if you could? I'm a guy and I get a lot of flack for complimenting people's clothing. I don't think it's weird, but apparently it means I must like men. If you got nice shoes, I'm gonna say they're nice shoes. As a woman who is dating a man who is very fashion-forward and compliments things like that constantly, I highly encourage this. Compliments from women about your clothes is one thing because we compliment everything in your dog, but from a man? Just hits different. Being able to move your body more in everyday situations. It is often socially expected to sit and wear clothing which makes it impossible to move. I would like to be able to randomly squat, stretch, and the like. Draping myself in velvet. Complimenting other men. Nice see. Thanks. It helps get the hens to lay. Wait a effing second. Being able to be honest about how you feel without being bullied or belittled. People who work at 5-star hotels. What kind of crap goes on that management doesn't want people to know? I spent 10 years in the boutique and 5-star hotel world. Got stories for days. But here's my favorite that sums up hospitality. Former, anyways. Our concierge was Le Clé d'Or, had all the connections. This dude could get you into the French Laundry same day. He would often greet guests with sangria and sprigs of mint from his garden. Sometimes he had lemon slices from his tree, too. He loved to tell guests all about his garden, and they ate it up. Yeah, that's all BS. Mint, lemon, any other garnish we got from the local grocery store. The sangria? Cheapest box stuff we could find. But he sold the story like no other. At the end of the day, it worked. I'm convinced most people don't know the difference between good and crappy liquor. I did wine sampling at stores and people would enjoy a wine until you told them it was $6. Or the opposite, it was gross until they found out it was $30. Men, what's the hardest thing to explain to women? I was at home when my wife and her friends got home. They were all giving me funny looks and smirking. I asked what was going on. They at first refused to tell me. After a little while of prodding, one of them goes, "I heard all about your D!" And they all broke into laughter. I was like, "Oh yeah? Hopefully all good." And they laughed, and that was the end of it. After they left, I was like, "What the hell did you tell them?" And my wife responded by saying how she told her friends about our vigorous romps on our honeymoon, apparently in great detail. She was like, "Whatever, you probably tell your friends all about us when it's just the boys." I don't know about you guys, but the extent of whatever I say is usually a raised eyebrow and something like, "Aw yeah, boy." I have never once described my wife's body to a single one of my friends, and it blew her mind. Apparently, girls talk in great detail about it. Guys usually don't, and they assume we do, and we assume they don't.